What's going on, guys? It's Nathan. Welcome to episode number, I believe, 14 of My Cup of Tea. We got big news today, which I'm very excited to go over, and a lot of schedule shifts. No surprise here, but it's just like the world that we continue to live in. Joining us as always, we got Evan.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been anticipating this episode of My Cup of Tea for a while now, ever since the whole Spider-Man Electro news dropped. Which I think was like one day after our last episode. That's just how it always happens these days. So that's gonna be fun to talk about. And then, as always, like every week, I'm always dreading like, what's going on with Dune this week? What's going on with Dune this week? Well, we finally got some bad news, and I can't wait to talk about that with you guys as well.
And also joining us, we have Carson.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm excited to be back and talk about this Spider-Verse news. Or presumably, we're going to... Who knows what's happening? I don't know. Nathan does. I don't. Nathan's going to enlighten all of us with these connections and Easter eggs and potential setups. But, I'm still excited to talk about the Dune stuff in particular. I just finished the novel, actually. And so now I'm sad because I finished the novel and the movie got pushed 10 months. And now it's a year away. We're a year away from Dune. Like we were 2 months away. And it just hurts, and everything sucks. And 2021, I saw a list of every blockbuster that's being released in 2021, and there's like, it's going to be the busiest, even with Jurassic World moving off of the June date or whatever. I think there's like nearly every single week for like the summer movie season into the winter, even before that, with like I would say from March to December, there's a blockbuster. February.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to break all that down because there's so much. And yes.
Okay. So in all of those regards, I knew it. I knew Dune was moving. I told you.
But where did you?
This is the thing, Nathan. We all expected it. We didn't want it at all. We expected it, especially with the Wonder Woman thing. It was like a ticking time bomb. I'm like, you don't put Wonder Woman a week after Dune and then just sit on it. Like, I don't know why it took them that long. I think, WB. Yeah, because they're both WB, they're both Warner Brothers, and people kept saying again, like, oh, this could be the Jumanji Last Jedi effect, where Jumanji made $900-something million, nearly $1 billion, while also Last Jedi made $1 billion. That's best case scenario. That's not going to happen with a movie like Dune, which is more of a, I don't want to say niche, but I guess niche sci-fi movie like Blade Runner is. It's coming off of a thick book with the trailer that was really good. I think the trailer really sold it as a unique theatrical experience kind of movie. But because of that, because it's a theatrical IMAX level kind of event movie, I think WB had to delay it. I don't want this to be on HBO Max, which I was going to bring up because last week we heard about the Robert Zemeckis film Witches is heading to HBO Max in like December or October. I think, yeah, it's October. And I'm like, could that happen to Dune? Is Dune going to go to HBO Max? I'm like, nah, that can't be a thing. And then like a day or two later, it gets delayed. Yeah, it was only a matter of time. It's unfortunate. It sucks. The interesting thing is, though, when this first came out, I was upset, but I was also more surprised at the release date it picked, which was October 1st. And that's super surprising because of the Batman of it all. What do you guys think?
Wow.
I'm sad that Batman isn't Halloween anymore.
Yeah.
No, it feels. Here's my pitch on this, though.
Okay.
So I think that, Batman being in March 2022 now, right? And I think the Batman and Matrix 4 can make money pretty much anywhere. I think Dune, like I said before, needs that Christmas boost, especially if by the time we get all the way to Christmas 2021 and we have a mass distributed vaccine, I can see Christmas 2021 being the big return of like huge box office numbers. I think eventually we're just going to see a slow, steady rise maybe. It's not going to just be like an overnight thing, but I think eventually by end of 2021, we could see some huge numbers again. And so it's kind of mystifying to me that they're not putting it in December because it needs everything it can get, especially when you have evidence of Blade Runner 2049 releasing in October, and doing lackluster numbers. It's like it seems like it's kind of a first step to writing itself off into purgatory, and I really hope it doesn't suffer from it. But we'll see.
You're right. Like, I'm getting flashbacks to Blade Runner 2049, which released in October. So
Yep.
I was
like,
there.
we were all there.
Yeah,
we all saw the movie together. No, I'm kidding.
It's the same week. It's the same October week too. I remember I sat there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's like the first week of October. I sat there in the IMAX theater with like 4 other people on opening night.
I remember that weekend because I was so excited. I was getting every film reaction from Carson with this whole big film Twitter tweet. Like, this is why I go to the movies to see Blade Runner. I still remember that. Funny now. Super funny.
I'm gonna go pull it back up.
That's exactly what you said, Carson. It's like,
share screen, pull it up.
Blade Runner is why I go to the movies.
To live, to dream, to go to the movies.
I live, I die, I live again. I couldn't see it that Thursday, so I was gonna go see it Saturday. My dad asked me. I remember he was like, "Should we pre-order tickets?" I'm like, "I don't think we need to. Let's just go in on a Saturday." We went to go see it Saturday at IMAX. We were the only ones in the theater. We had a great time because we were talking about all the new revelations throughout the movie, but it was unfortunate for it to be so empty. And I have flashbacks now. I'm like, I don't want this to happen with Dune. I want Dune to be a financial hit. I want that part 2, which WB already promised. So I don't care if this movie makes freaking $2 million on a Saturday. I better get my part 2.
You guys, okay, just have from reading the book and pretty much having a good guess on where it's going to end at the midpoint of this first movie. I will be so devastated if we don't get the second movie because so much happens in the second part, especially with Timothée Chalamet's character, in terms of a lot of his development, in terms of
how was Zendaya
is in that. She's much more prominent in part 2. She's, I can't say, but she's much more in the movie. It will be in the second movie for sure. And it would just be a huge bummer if we don't get to see that, her especially, but just the plot in general play out. I will be so depressed so it just sucks. It's like how committed is Warner Brothers? Like, what if Dune comes out in October and makes like $27 million opening weekend? They're like, oh, and then Dune makes like 192 million worldwide. And then we're sitting here like, oh gosh, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a big enough event, and I think that based on the trailer buzz, it got really big hype for this kind of, like Evan said, like a niche, even though Dune is a hugely popular, like worldwide story, it's still a hard book to adapt. So I'm very curious to see what it does. But we got to talk about some of the other surrounding things, because now the only remaining big blockbuster this year is Wonder Woman, which right, because No Time to Die moved off.
Do you count Soul as a blockbuster? No,
I still don't think it's coming out. There's no way.
Okay,
there's not been a new trailer.
Is that Disney's only movie for 2020?
I think so. Ever since they moved Black Widow off, but coupled with the fact that Regal has now closed all of their locations in both Europe and the United States, which in the United States is about 500 locations. I think they're the second biggest theater chain in the United States. I could be wrong. Behind AMC.
AMC, Regal, then Cinemark.
Yes. So unless they open back up for Wonder Woman, I don't think that Wonder Woman is coming out, because I don't think I just don't see it coming out. I would hate to be like Wonder Woman moving again. But if 70% of the market is open and then nothing changes, and then theaters are, 500 more theaters are closed, I just can't see them going for it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
This is so sad. I mean, Wonder Woman will beat New Mutants' record for most, I think.
It could be.
I think so. Like, people always make fun of New Mutants. New Mutants was a thing because nobody really wanted it. So whenever it got release date changed, everybody was like started freaking out. But Wonder Woman, at this point, supposed to come out in November 2019, and then it was like May,
June,
and
right?
It was June, and then it was August, and then it was October,
and then now it's December.
December. I'm like, Jesus Christ! We're supposed to see this last year. So this is insane. And yeah, the funny thing is, like what we talked about with Batman, with Matrix, with Dune, these are all Warner Brothers properties. Where in the heck are you going to move Wonder Woman without changing again? Where the other things that you just released last week are going to move? So, I can't. I'm looking ahead at this 2021 schedule. I can't see where they could possibly place. Again, Wonder Woman is a movie where you can release it anywhere, and it's going to make bank. It's Wonder Woman.
Granted, if theaters are open and people are coming, I just don't know at this point. Right. It's like, all the box office talk has been like, we're getting to the point where we need some government intervention, or we need something. We need this. I think it's evident right now that obviously the studios know that they cannot make huge. They can make money on a strictly premium VOD option, like Mulan. They can make money, but they need the theaters enabled to really make a box office hit.
Yes.
And that is why you're seeing them dip into the future, because the studios need the theaters and vice versa, except theaters need the studios now, except it's not viable for those movies to go out right now. So it's just a constant delay. So I think the studios need to work with everybody. Just needs to say, screw the theatrical window. Stop arguing about this. You need money. You need to start debating to get a cut of those premium rentals so you can survive until theaters can open back up and make huge money. And then, I don't know. It's just a tough situation.
That's a tough situation. I don't think that's a good solution. Like if they negotiate a shorter theatrical window, what's going to happen? Like nobody's coming to the theaters regardless. So what's the positive?
I'm saying like starting in side? I'm saying like you need to maybe with Wonder Woman, they like test it. They're like, they do it open weekend, it makes like 30 million. They're like, all right, it's in 2 weeks, it's going to go to digital so people at home can get it. And then it'll be like, $20-$30 or whatever. There's just got to be a way that studios can work with. I know it's so dangerous, but what else are you going to do other than just delay? That's the only other option is just for theaters to go into debt right now and just kind of drown, which I think may happen inevitably. I don't know. It's depressing.
It's super depressing. And this sucks because studios really screwed over the theaters. I think, and I'm not saying this because I love going to the theaters, but I'm just saying like studios really screwed them over by saying, even from the jump from March, when they were like, Tenet is sticking to that July 17th, whatever it was, release date. Like, and then theaters hedged their bets on reopening in July. They're like, okay, we'll close down, but we'll be back in the summertime.
And all the classic movie deals. And even now, they're still trying to get different classic movies in. And
exactly. But then guess what happened? July, America specifically, wasn't doing so hot in July. So, okay, August. You know what? We'll give you guys August. August will be back, baby. Not going to happen. And then September comes around. Like, okay, fine. This one will do it. Mulan and PVOD, Tenet. And guess what happened? WB has to lie about their box office. And it doesn't do well. It doesn't do well. At least
Tenet has grown. It is impressive, I will say.
Overseas.
The Tenet overseas has been able to, push the total gross over $300 million in a global pandemic.
Which
that
is crazy,
in and of itself
right?
Is evidence that the theatrical model is not dead and people will go to the movies. Right now, it's a matter of holding out and deciding what's the best option. And to me, I'm looking at it and like, I just think Tenet shouldn't even release in the first place. If we would think about if we would have just cut losses, and I know we've said multiple times in the podcast, we're like, oh, we can't wait to see Tenet. I'm so excited to see Tenet. But so
that's because we're crazy
now. We're crazy, but like,
yeah, you go.
Like going back and looking at it now, it's like, I wish Tenet never opened, and I wish there was never this game of chicken with the release dates, because it's so annoying to look back on now, and it feels like we just wasted time and money for no reason, and now we're panicking.
Exactly. Like I blame myself. Like you said, like I always wanted to see Tenet. Like I gotta see the new Christopher Nolan movie. But I blame myself because, like, of course, I'm an idiot. I could go to if Wonder Woman was playing this Friday, I'll be the first ticket there. I don't give a crap. I'm going. There's just no good movie to see right now. But oh wow, jeez. Are we getting sponsored?
I didn't know I was getting a Happy Meal. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
For our audio only listeners, if you check us out on YouTube, Carson just got a Happy Meal.
Wow. We got some chicken nuggets from
Marvel Toys.
What is it? Toy review. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do an unboxing review.
Oh shit!
Is this the Hulk? Who is that?
I got what's his name? I got Falcon.
What's his name?
Do we got some Disney Plus toys?
You got the black guy.
Is
Good
it
job. You got Falcon. Nice.
His wings move.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Please
Who needs
display it.
Funko Pop? Who needs Funko Pops when you got?
I hope Anthony Mackie gets residuals from that.
I hope so too.
I'm sure.
Anyways, enough of me. Evan,
but yeah, like I feel like a hypocrite. Tenet should have never came out, and theaters really hedged their bets on studios being like, okay, we're gonna, because I think there could have been better strategies, better preemptive plans to help theaters financially through all of this, just like any other business right now. But a lot of studios and a lot of people in the non-studio game or theater game kept saying like, you know, theaters are going to be fine when they reopen in August, or when they reopen in the fall, when they reopen. They're not. They're just not. They shouldn't have. And that only costs theaters even more money. So I think now is kind of too late. You see a lot of directors now, a lot of businesses now are just now starting to be like, okay, maybe the government should really intervene some more. It's like we should have been having these conversations earlier. Now it's kind of too late, which is so tragic.
I have said from the jump.
I have been talking from the mountain.
Nathan is so tired.
Everything, like from the beginning, grab every release day, hold it, just move 1 year. It's fine. And now we're all shambled all year. You did this.
I'm imagining like the big slate reveal that like the Comic-Cons of the world, and Nathan like literally there's like a PowerPoint slide of the slate. Nathan like reaches up on the presentation board, grabs the slate. You're gonna reach it. You're gonna grab it, and you're gonna move it.
All you have to do is take the N number of each year and just bump it up one. It's fine. Because now I think I said last week, Black Widow is now basically in its original release date spot a year later.
Black Widow's in the same release date spot. Eternal is back in this November 2021.
And now 2021 is super stacked, and stuff is going to have to move again anyway. And
yep.
Like I was saying, with Wonder Woman probably, again, going to be delayed, stuff is then going to have to move again for Warner Brothers. I think Disney is pretty safe right now because they moved their Marvel films again. What else moved? I'm thinking, Fast 9, I think moved, right?
Yes, it moved a month.
From April to May
because of No Time to Die. What's interesting is...
Which aren't those the original dates as well for both?
Right. Which makes them all look like clowns because they could have just did the Nathan and moved it a year. But what's interesting is... No, it's still in...
April.
There was an article the other day about when Marvel movies resume, it will have been, like
700 days, something like that.
Like 600 and some days. I can't remember the number of months since the last Marvel movie. But then, like from Black Widow, to the following year, there's like so much Marvel content coming out. Like it's gonna be, we've talked about it before. It's like it's gonna be an overload for people that go to the movie theater each week. Again, we don't know what that's for competition, and I think we could see instances where we get to like No Time to Die and all of those movies in April and May, and then studios may play chicken again. They're like, oh, I don't want to release with 3 other movies surrounding me now that we're not fully back or things aren't fully back.
It's crazy.
Could be more moves.
Yeah, it's insane. All these movie release dates are changing. I think the most shocking one going back had to be Batman going to March 4th, 2022.
March, yeah.
That was interesting to me.
2022.
That's crazy. I think October was a perfect release date for that.
It was.
I don't know in my head, would you guys have done because I think Dune would have been better in that December slot where Matrix now is. Batman should have kept his October release date. Maybe Matt Reeves needed more time.
Up, crazy. Matrix moved up like 5 months.
Yeah. Where would Matrix have gone if Dune kept that December date instead of Matrix? Like, would Matrix be in October? That'd have been crazy.
October would probably be a pretty solid spot, I think.
I think so too. But that's too far up for Matrix. Maybe they're still working on stuff.
Yeah, probably would have been a rush to make that October 2021. But I think what should have happened to kind of wrap this topic up, because I know we could go on about it forever and we want to get to the Spider-Verse stuff. So Nathan isn't yelling at the studios.
Now I'm gonna praise the studios.
You're gonna be like, the genius.
Your $1 billion idea lies before you.
I think what should have happened is Tenet should have never came out. We should have had mass delays, and we should have had studios organizing a fund for theaters for employee furloughs and rent. Because that people don't realize that all these theater chains, they don't own the buildings that they operate out of, which is like the biggest thing that they're losing right now is because they have to pay landlords. And so like think how many locations and all that they have to pay each month when nobody's going. And so I think if I look back on it now that we're, somewhat 8 months into this chaos, I think that we should have been more organized in terms of studios collaborating with theaters to be like, hey, we got to come up with a long-term solution because normal movie going is not going to be any sense of the picture for a long time, which is sad to say, but it's just the reality now.
I agree. And 2 more things for me. One, I think also the funny thing is a lot of studios got really fancy during this time as well, as we saw like the whole PVOD thing, especially with Disney's Mulan. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, granted, I know they were trying to make money. They wanted to test out the Disney Plus thing. That failed because if Mulan was a big financial success, we would have seen other movies going through that same model. But you don't even
would have heard about it.
You would have heard about it. It's crickets over there, crickets. But we do hear our release dates changing. We do hear Black Widow going into May. So this whole PVOD thing failed. I know a lot of people remember the whole box office like uproar over what was it, Trolls? They're like, oh, Trolls did big, but then again, crickets. Because I think Universal, whatever studio it was, they didn't follow through with that with any other of their upcoming releases.
Well, they didn't follow through with that because Universal and AMC now have that deal of shortening the theatrical window.
True. And
then releasing it earlier on somewhat, I think it's going to be a less version of premium. It's not going to be like a Mulan price, probably be like $20, $25. But AMC is going to get a cut of that moving. I think that's only for 2021 movies, though, moving forward.
Yeah, 2021 moving forward, which we haven't heard much about since that announcement. I'm very curious to see how that goes into 2021, especially early 2021, where the virus still may be a factor. And then lastly, to close off, going to 2022, about the Batman thing, it's so funny how we talked about Thor and Doctor Strange being so close. Like, you have Thor in February and Doctor Strange at the end of March 25th here. And then now they just slotted Batman in the middle of that. Like, within less than a month between each other, you could go see, come Doctor Strange on March 25th, you could see Thor, Batman, and Doctor Strange playing at the same time. And that has to move, right?
There's
no way.
That's exhausting.
Only a crazy individual like me would see those all at once in a day, but
I thought that'd be crazy. But like Batman, 3 weeks later, Doctor Strange. Within 3 weeks before that was Thor. I'm like,
I remember the craziest news like this that we've ever heard was like, what, John Wick and Matrix the same day? Like,
yeah, I remember that was the thing. Yeah.
Now we have the biggest blockbusters.
Now
ever.
I want that back.
I know.
Me too.
Miss the days of just double Keanu.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, speaking of Marvel, with Thor and Doctor Strange, Marvel has some, or at least Sony Marvel has some explaining to do here with Spider-Man 3. Let's dive into that.
Okay, the biggest, like, just like what the hell moment, like that film Twitter woke up to was just yes, Jamie Foxx will be reprising his role of Electro in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3.
Crazy. This got
I thought it was fake.
Me too.
I did too. I was checking. It's like, this is the parody count, right?
Yeah,
no?
Because we all just like discussing film or whatever. I'm like, this has to be a fake thing, right? Like, I see the check mark though, like, or they didn't have a check mark, but it's like, I go through other sites, like I search it on Twitter. I'm like, no way, like Collider.
I see the higher following account than the parody one. Like,
yeah, I'm just like, yeah, it's true. I always look at the. Okay, they have over 100K followers. Okay, cool.
400K. But yeah.
I was extremely shocked. Yeah, blew my mind.
Okay, so similar to that point, Jamie Foxx actually went to Instagram about it and has since deleted it. But I'll read his statement.
Please do.
So first off, he said, "Tell Spidey, let's run it back. Super excited." Super excited to part of the new Marvel Spider. He misspelled. The Marvel Spider-Man new installment. Can't wait for y'all to check the new one. And I won't be blue in this one, but 1,000% badass. Hashtag swipe left. And yeah, he was basically posting a lot of like cool edits of like his Electro with Tom Spider-Man. And then among those as well was also a look at a Electro looming in the sky. You can't see because my blue screen, but Electro looming in the sky. And,
I haven't seen that photo before.
Yeah, and our 3 Spider Boys standing down there.
Yeah, it's a picture of Tom, Andrew, and Toby looking at after
liked by John Boyega, if anyone cares. But
which it could be fun speculation, of course. Just posting some cool fan art to rile up the fans.
Oh, it could be. It rile people up.
But now it's also been deleted.
But also, the Marvel snipers got him.
Yeah.
Marvel snipers got him / Disney. And the fact that he's saying he's not going to be blue, how is he? I mean, how is this going to work, Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan, what's your theory, Nathan? Huh?
Well, for the look, I kind of did it for the thumbnail anyway. I just made him yellow, but Electro.
Because if he's not blue, is he not going to be specifically from that timeline?
No, he's not.
Actually, I think he is. Because you can.
Wow.
Why?
It's stupid. They're not going to make this guy. That shouldn't be my explanation.
Then why would they get Jamie Foxx again as the same character?
Let's see here. Ken Feige probably liked. Jamie Foxx is a fantastic actor. He's an Academy Award-winning actor.
Which is why we could get a new direction on his character.
1,000%. I agree with that. Yeah. I think Feige's thinking the same way. Like, we can get a new direction on his character. They're probably looking like, okay, like we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast. They are setting up a Sinister Six. So they're going down the list here. They're like, okay, maybe we should hold off on Doc Ock, which is like probably the most important member of the Sinister Six. We can hold off on Doc Ock and a Green Goblin or whatever. What do we kind of need here? Electro. We could cast a totally new Electro. That's totally in our ballpark. Or I like what Jamie Foxx did. Kevin Feige actually did in the Sony hack emails. You saw emails of Feige giving tips to Sony higher ups about Jamie Foxx's Electro. He said, I like this, but I think he's a bit too cartoonish. He's too goofy at times. And they
didn't like when the electric eels fixed the gap in his teeth.
Yeah, I don't think he liked that. I think there was a specific moment he said like they should take out of the movie. I think it was like the whole birthday thing, but they did keep it in the movie, and we saw what happened. Not saying that Feige could have totally saved that movie regardless, but anyways, I think he just liked that interpretation, and he wants to see how we can do in this one the same way that he did. Like he liked J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, and guess what? He's back in the I'm
gonna dispute that.
MCU. He's back in the MCU playing a completely different character.
There's the thing with that though, is Literally, no one in their minds would ever wanted to separate J.K. Simmons from that.
Oh, so
role.
now you're bringing the audience into it.
I am, because it's kind
The
of
studio really cares about the audience.
like anyway, no, but the whole thing with J.K. Simmons is Jonah is like they knew he was so iconic from the Raimi films that even when they made the Amazing Spider-Man films, they kept him at like an email, like screaming through an email level in Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they knew they couldn't replace him. They really couldn't.
You're right.
And
you are right.
And like fans were constantly talking about how like we would not care if it's the same actor, just please bring him back. And that's I feel like that's the only exception here because like
are you saying
they don't really do that?
Electro isn't iconic? Are you saying Paul Giamatti as Rhino isn't iconic?
Oh, we're not talking about the Rhino here. But yeah, I don't hate Jamie Foxx's Electro at all. I think
neither. I actually do. I thought he was a funny character. I have the Amazing Spider-Man 2 DVD. I like that movie.
I too have the DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray, but I have the DVD. Yeah, I just no, I don't see like Marvel like they don't really like go for like major roles being like used of the same actor. I mean, they've done it like in tiny bits where like one of the aliens from Captain Marvel is also going to be in Eternals as a different character, or Mahershala Ali's Blade now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like stuff like that. But again, those are minimal roles from like very like minimal side characters or like TV shows and stuff. This is a whole different thing where like the actor is playing the exact same comic book character in a new age Spider-Man property, which convinces me that can be some dimensional stuff, especially since we're going to be exploring that through both Doctor Strange and WandaVision. And again, obviously Spider-Man is not unheard of exploring these because we have such Spider-Verse events that have transpired.
Very true.
I know some Morbius stuff.
So do you think that like based on the Sinister Six forming that we could see villains from like these different iterations be part of the new Sinister Six, if that makes any sense?
No.
I don't. Well, that's the thing is like I don't see us like alternating existing franchises timelines like stuff like in the Raimi films. Like I don't see Alfred Molina coming back or Willem Dafoe.
That's what people are asking now. They're like, is that a possibility? Yeah. I don't think that is. I think, granted, I don't know what Alfred Molina is doing currently in the Hollywood film base, but I think they have a good opportunity to go for a different interpretation of Doc Ock. He's a fantastic villain. I think a new actor could bring some new stuff to it. Electro, though, I don't know. Like, if they had a completely different Electro, I'd be completely fine. With Jamie Foxx, though, I'm also completely fine. I think it's just like he wants a different interpretation. He wants a different crack at it. I just don't see this being a huge Spider-Verse, multiverse level event, especially when they're setting up the Sinister Six, because it's just causing too much riffraff, in my opinion. Like, Spider-Verse, the MCU, you had your shot with Mysterio. You had your shot with teasing us with the I'm from a different Earth. Guess what? He wasn't. He was a disgruntled Stark employee. I really hope Electro is not a disgruntled Stark scientist or something.
Yeah.
That'd be.
I don't think they would do that.
No, not again. Not again.
Really? I know. 2 times Stark. Fool me once. Shame on me.
Tony's gone now. So
watch Tony be mentioned like 20 times in Spider-Man 3.
Look, you'll probably still get a Tony, man. You're probably going to see Happy again.
What would Tony do? He's dead.
But what would he do? What would Uncle Ben do?
He would drink some alcohol.
He would go over to his super sick suit customizer. I swipe hollows and then I make a suit.
I love it.
Play AC/DC or something. I don't know. Definitely.
Good jokes. But yeah,
So, and also real quick, I don't think the impact of WandaVision and Doctor Strange is going to be as massive as people think. At least I don't think WandaVision is. I think WandaVision is going to continue the teases that we've been getting from like Thor, not from Thor, like from Thanos, from Endgame. Of course, that's going to cause some ripple effects. Of course, WandaVision, as Wanda continues to grow, she's going to cause some ripple effects. Doctor Strange 2 comes out a couple months after Spider-Verse or after Spider-Man 3. And I just don't think any like dimensional realm stuff is going to happen. And 2, I just don't think that's going to happen in Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 of all movies, which I think has the goal of being the goal of Spider-Man 3. Like, I walked out of Spider-Man 2 saying, I really hope Spider-Man 3 takes a more focused, emotional approach to Spider-Man that we haven't really seen in the MCU Spider-Man movies. I've liked them, but they're very global in scale. Like Spider-Man's all the way in freaking London or whatever, and Far From Home. I really liked Homecoming, but then again, he was very tied to Iron Man. Spider-Man 3.
You're right. It needs to have like that grounded, like Spider-Man in New York. Let's go. Let's establish that more and run with it.
Especially with his identity taken off. Like all he has is himself. So
yeah. And I will say I don't actually think Electro is going to be the primary villain of Spider-Man 3. Because again, like forever we've been reading so many Kraven reports. I think that's still going to be and that would make the most sense for like the Great Hunt.
What do you think about that the Kraven movie though, Nathan? Because that kind of teetered me away from Kraven being the main villain in Spider-Man 3. Because they're
forgetting that's a thing.
Me too. Which it should not be a thing, right? If I'm Feige, I'm like, Sony, take that out
of there. The Sony offices, I swear, there's a bingo machine in there, and they're like calling the bingo numbers, and they're like, Kraven.
I know. It's like I'm literally like looking. I'm like, okay, Silver Sable. Is that? I don't even know if that's ever going to happen. Venom. Okay, I could maybe see them doing that, and they have. Morbius. I feel like is your only like true instance you could do a wild card and like, okay, fine, but like Kraven.
He's just so tied. We said the same thing about Venom, but he's so tied to Spider-Man. It's like he wants to hunt Spider-Man. Who the heck is going to be hunting in Kraven's own movie? Like,
and that's another thing. It's like like Kraven isn't a character that has gone as deep into the lore as you have with like Eddie Brock or someone.
Exactly. Venom. We were all like, oh, he needs to be in a Spider-Man movie, which he kind of does. But Venom has so many different standalone series that we're like, okay, you can kind of do something here. And then it made $800 million. So they can definitely do something there. I don't think Kraven can go anywhere.
Maybe Kraven could, if like they go ahead with the Kraven movie, I think it could take place after Spider-Man 3 potentially.
Kraven could hunt Venom. That will be fascinating. I think that would be an interesting idea. Kraven hunting Venom and focusing on what they have, like what Sony has going for them, which is Venom.
I'm glad we're deepening the Venom universe.
Which I think they should. I'm like, go with what you got. Like, I didn't like Venom, but go with what you got. Go with Venom. Go with Morbius. Do what you got there.
Yeah.
You don't have to have them connect to Spider-Man if you don't want to. But just like, I don't know, Kraven would just be a fantastic villain though in the MCU, and trying to double dip there would be kind of awful.
I just hope they don't make the assumption for all of their standalone movies that they can pull off the anti-hero kind of thing without all of the villain traits and stuff that are so tied to them as a character towards how they act against Spider-Man and how they came to fruition because of Spider-Man, or how Spider-Man affected them. And so I feel like if they leave that off the table every time, I might start to be less interested in it if they don't come up with something cool like the Kraven hunting Venom or something, in a way that it's just a matter of them keeping it loose enough from the MCU that keeps Marvel happy with them being able to standalone stuff, and tying it enough to Spider-Man that keeps us engaged to like, say, okay, this movie deserved to happen versus just using him as a villain. So it's a weird line to cross. I don't know.
Exactly. And I think Sony has a good opportunity to create their own unique Spider-Verse that's not tied to the MCU. Because I think a lot of people forget, like with Spider-Man 3, what we've been talking about here with Electro and everything, that's Feige, that's MCU, Marvel Studios creatively creating that storyline. Sony's not creatively, at least not like 100%, not creatively making these Spider-Man movies. They're being distributed by Sony, but Feige has a lot of creative control over these movies. So if he wants Electro, I doubt we're going to see an Electro movie. And if Sony wants a Kraven movie, I doubt we're going to see Kraven in the MCU anytime soon, which is unfortunate. But I think that does focus on Electro being the main villain in Spider-Man 3, which seems really weird, given like this is Spider-Man who's on the run now. He has his identity taken.
I don't see an Electro fitting into this plot line right now.
Yeah, not me neither.
I think it build up later.
Yeah,
like how far is this plot line with Sinister Six gonna go through? That's the question.
Well, in the Morbius stuff.
I'm thinking right now, before you get into Morbius, I'm thinking Spider-Man 4. Spider-Man 4 at the early Spider-Man 5. Yeah.
Do we have like a conclusive trilogy ending story, or does it leave us just moving into the next movie?
I think trilogy of trilogies.
I think Spider-Man's trilogy ending story is him becoming his own person. I think 1 and 2 have focused very much so on Iron Man. I think 3, he's going to have to come to grips that he's on his own, really on his own, because his identity is taken away. So I think the trilogy is really going to have him stand out on his own. And then after that happens, he's like, oh crap, all these past villains are going to come after me. Not including Morbius. I doubt Morbius is going to be part of the Sinister Six.
Yeah. But do you think like it would make sense for like, I know we've talked about in the past specifically of having, if Tom does do somehow 3 trilogies, which I would love to see, like, you have the high school Peter or the college Peter and then the grown up Peter.
Miles handoff.
Yes, which would be awesome. Do you think, Peter Parker packs up and goes to college is going to make sense for them building the rest of the Sinister Six, or do you think they'll go with more of a broad story of maybe that's not the way they just build it up in New York or wherever? I don't really know what they would do, but
well, you can still go to college in New York.
Yeah, that's it.
What
probably doesn't want to leave Aunt May.
When are you saying he does the Miles Morales thing? You said after 9 movies or 6?
Like I think you could introduce Miles at the beginning of the 3rd supposed trilogy, and then
third trilogy
develop through until like you have a meaningful Tony level death for Spidey, because Spidey's so
poor Tom
Holland. I don't mean like
somewhere like, whoa, somebody just call me out. No.
Tom's not snapping, but like it's interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be balling if that happens.
I mean, it's interesting, like at all, like the like Ultimate Universe Spidey's death. Like he just kind of like dies on his own front lawn, but like it's just a matter of like his identity got out and he was able to save his family.
It's one of the most cry-worthy comic issues I've ever read, because he's fighting Green Goblin in his front lawn.
It's pretty much the Sinister Six of that.
Aunt May and Aunt May and Gwen Stacy are like watching, and he's like fending for his life. He got shot by freaking crossbow.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I think like some of his like friends like Iceman and everybody is like helping.
Yeah, they tried to make it. They couldn't make it in time because Green Goblin was pounding on him. It's a dark comic book. Read Ultimate Spider-Man. It's the best Spider-Man series of all time, in my opinion.
And it's what their primary fueling for, like a lot of the Ultimate stuff for the MCU. So
totally, yeah.
But speaking of the speculation, wasn't there also a report following up? Electro reports that the movie is supposed to start shooting potentially in two weeks here or something. Yeah, which is pretty crazy to me, and it could be an indicator that we could be getting some set picks soon, because Spider-Man notoriously, when they're shooting a lot of
gotta see that new suit update, bud.
You're gonna see the new suit. You're gonna see random wires. You're gonna.
I think they're just gonna see Tom. You're just gonna see kind of like the same Far From Home suit, like, but now like Peter's like freaking out, mask off on the run.
Yeah,
but it's crazy to me that it's shooting this soon. I guess I don't know what time. Maybe they just can shoot a lot of stuff without Tom, or maybe he's gonna take a break from Uncharted. I don't know. Maybe Uncharted is close to done. I don't know. It's just interesting.
I got a tweet from not me personally, but I got a notification from like Neil Druckmann, head of Naughty Dog. Like,
yeah, he's him.
Apparently, I know, right? I wish. Apparently, he visited the Uncharted set with Tom Holland. Like, apparently, they had some conversations on set, which is very interesting to me, because Neil famously was like, Sony didn't come to us about Uncharted, or like, I'm not associated with that crap at all. But he did have some conversations with Tom. He's like, I really wish I could show people what I saw on set, because it looked pretty cool. And Tom was like, oh, it's secret. So that was just last week. I know, right? And that was just last week, so I think Uncharted's still in full swing. I'm guessing, like what Carson is saying, I'm guessing they just got to film around Tom not being there, which is kind of weird for a Spider-Man movie. But it also does lead credence that they really do want to push this 2021 December right now release date.
Yep.
I think that still is possible if they can start filming in sometime in the month of October, finish around December, January-ish, edit in the early 2021, trailer in the summer, and boom, you're good to go. So I think it's still possible for Sony. Sony doesn't have a lot of movies in their docket right now, at least blockbuster-wise. So I think they're really hedging their bets on Uncharted and the Spider-Man franchises. So
may end on Tom Holland in general. I mean, it's pretty much the
right.
forefront of Sony right now.
Yeah. Does Sony own G.I. Joe, by the way? Because I thought there's rumors that he was in G.I. Joe too, that he's going to be.
I think it's
could
Paramount.
Be a rumor. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Paramount.
There's rumors about that, which I don't think are true, but it's Tom Holland's a very famous guy right now. Sony really wants him to be there.
And he's got Chaos Walking coming out in January. Lord forbid that movie actually comes out with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland.
Oh, jeez. That's like a total, what is that, New Mutant
You know
situation
what? Watch it be good. Watch Doug Liman. He got his reshoots. They went in there. Charlie Kaufman is credited as doing a treatment on the story for some weirdly. I don't know. I'm like, how can this movie be half bad?
He probably called Charlie like, "Hey, dude, help us out." I think Doug's so done with that movie. He's like, Doug's like, I just want to film with Tom Cruise in space already. Can we get this over with? Like, I just
can we get this over with? Yeah,
film my next movie.
Well,
so yeah, so Nathan, so do you think, like, do you still think Electro is going to be this main villain? Are we theorizing could there be other villains in this movie? Like, could there be?
Yeah,
there's multiple villains because we had Mysterio in the last one, but we also had like some hints at other things going on there.
Yeah, I mean, they had. I think they had like, I mean, obviously not of like big degree, but there were like I think 5 villains in Homecoming actually.
Shocker, Vulture, Tinker,
Prowler with
Prowler technically,
and I think there was a 5th one.
I thought so too.
Because I was literally like doing trivia night the other night with friends, like last month, and like I was like so sure, like yeah, there's like 3 villains, easy, and I was like, oh, there's 5. Oops, I felt so bad for getting it wrong.
Yeah, and then when Far From Home was coming out, we're like, oh, they have elementals. What's going on here? But then, oh, they have Mysterio, so he's gonna be the main villain. But
Sandman, no,
yes, could that be Sandman? Yeah. So what do you think? What are we thinking? So as far as Home 6, Spider-Man Home 3, whatever. Is Electro going to be the main villain? I'll be fine if he is. I just can't picture it in terms of the story. Granted, I have no idea what the story is, but
no, I don't. I could definitely see him joining up or basically being like teased or like some sort of like stuff being set up, like maybe like in terms of like a pop. Like again, I don't know how they would execute it if it is the same Electro, because and last we saw is like Electro got like overcharged in Amazing Spider-Man 2, so you presume he died. But you know, who's to say how superhero electricity actually works? And things that could happen.
So you still think he is from the multiverse?
I do.
So you think he came? So explain that some more then. Like so, you think he just came from the multiverse, and like how would
maybe not on his own? I feel like
in your vision, how would they explain it?
I'm not exactly sure how things are coming into play, because I'm also kind of going off of like people's other theories that are stemming once again from some Morbius stuff. Whether it's
let's get into that.
Tell me. Yeah, please tell us.
I don't want to know full spoilers.
No, I basically I skipped over the actual like Morbius plot, but like when there was like Spidey specific references, I was like, okay,
got it. Okay, yeah.
Like for example, it's just like randomly. I forgot Tyrese Gibson is in Morbius.
He sure is. He's an FBI agent. Right?
FBI agent.
Yeah, I think he's a dude who has like metal arm enhancement or something.
Yeah, there was a shot of that in the trailer, right?
Yeah, like in the like plot stuff, there was like at some point like he's bringing up stuff about Oscorp. I think that's the only like real mention of it there.
Interesting.
Which was interesting.
First mention of Oscorp
in the any of the new era of Spider-Man. Yeah,
and Venom. He's not mentioned in Venom at all.
No, not even in Venom. Which is interesting. there's also like another thing where like Morbius after some skirmish stumbles into a bar after like waking up and there you can see on TV Jameson's on TV and it's J.K. Simmons be back again which is fun. But people were also theorizing that part I don't know how, but like part because there's also like magic stuff to be dealt with in Morbius stuff with like the things that are going down because it's a very like supernatural set character. Some were theorizing that
echolocation.
that at least a part of it could take place in the Raimi universe because like of some set photo stuff of like how they're using
the image of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Well, actually, that's a different thing I'm gonna get to, but there's like set things of like they're using the Raimi verse Daily Bugle logos and stuff on like buses and prints, but there you have a different one in the MCU, which is weird but interesting. Actually, to that point, it's also saying here that at some point, like in the trailer, Morbius passes that like murderer spray paint of Spider-Man, but apparently, unlike in the trailer, it actually looks more like the Homecoming suit.
I figured as much. Okay.
Yeah. But then there's also another scene, which has people theorizing that maybe there's going to be some thing that could be associated maybe with like the events of like the snap and the blip or something that could have some ramifications because I mean that is a wider reign of Infinity Gauntlet had, but that was Adrian Toomes Vulture could have some sort of like cross-dimensional activities going on.
Wait, yeah, dive in. I don't want to slide over cross-dimensional. He's in jail. What's he doing with some cross-dimensional activities?
Oh, that's an interesting thing because apparently at one point Morbius is also getting locked up and he runs into Toomes. So they're both locked up.
He's part of the jailbreak, right? Which I still think is like is that the post-credit scene? Because it seems like a post-credit scene kind of me.
It's not the post-credit. Oh, actually, it's actually said in the snap. There is no post-credit scene. At least in this.
Is it a third act thing though? The prison break?
I think it's in Act 2.
Okay.
And in the prison break, you get a glimpse of said villains. It's also like Toomes throws out to Morbius that he is actually putting a team together. The Sinister Six. Morbius has no actual interest right now, but
Toomes, as in Michael Keaton, Vulture.
Yes, he wants to put a team together.
He's a big shot gangster putting together
a
crew, you could say.
Speaking of that person whom you are quoting,
is Woody Harrelson going to show up?
Oh God!
Of the people that are breaking out of the prison, you obviously Morbius and Toomes are breaking out, but you also get a glimpse of Scorpion, who we saw in the Homecoming end credits, and you do in fact see Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy in and it's very specified. It's very specified a much better wig than what they had, and it doesn't look as atrocious. They literally specified that.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning towards this being in the MCU.
Yeah.
Because I think
it's interesting. Like
Venom can still be in the MCU, of course. Because
that's what I was thinking.
Woody Harrelson potentially showing up in there.
Yeah. But it could be in the MCU. I don't know. I just think all the weird Sony stuff with the Daily Bugle, that's just Sony being lazy. I think you could cross that off to Sony being lazy.
But the prison thing's pretty straightforward. Of like, hey, we're putting together a team. That has pretty solid ramifications for moving forward, which fascinates me because how can you make that declaration and then just like kind of sidestep it in the Sonyverse and not cross over into whatever the full-fledged team is going to be eventually? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems very, very odd because I would assume like, okay, obviously as we see in the trailer, there's a prison break. Vulture gets out, Cletus Cassidy gets out, spawns Venom 2. Venom 2 happens. I always thought Venom 3 was going to be the whole Spider-Man finally comes into the Venom scenario where Spider-Man and Venom have to defeat Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Spider-Man and Venom have to defeat Carnage in Venom 3. Venom 3 actually could then be, if they decide to kill off Carnage or do something else with Carnage, Venom 3 could be the Sinister Six thing, or that could be a Spider-Man 4 scenario.
At this rate,
Very interesting.
I find it interesting because, like, in terms of like adapting the Spider-Verse storyline, because they didn't even like go down the route in the animated Spider-Verse of like the comic book villain, which is like these kind of like these
Vampires, yeah.
family that are like hunting arachnid specific spider people around, which is fascinating enough. But now I see, like, yeah, I would honestly be not mad of like exploring the fight of the Sinister Six, because again, like six villains against one hero is tough, obviously. And I think there could be like a cool exploration if like they were. We haven't really even properly like dived in the thought of bringing in Toby and Andrew.
You can go on ahead.
Well, I will, because it's and I've already like pitched before like how amazing it would be to get like Andrew in and having also, yeah, potentially other spider people, maybe like I don't know how deep you could get into that, but like, yeah, if you were to do like Spider-Gwen and it's Emma Stone and then Andrew Garfield's like really messed up about that, like it would be such a
That's a great scenario, standalone. I just don't feel like bringing Tom Holland to that. Or we talked about, I don't know what episode it was, somebody being in McDonald's. Oh, it was on Hyperspace Hype. We talked about Auden Ehrenreich being in McDonald's. You know who was that? You know who created the McDonald's? It was Tobey Maguire, because he ain't doing nothing. He's not coming back.
He's done random smaller things.
I don't think he has.
I think so. What do you do, like Pawn Sacrifice or something?
He did that one. What's that chess movie he did in like 2014?
Pawn Sacrifice. Yeah,
is that what it's called? I haven't seen it. It's on my watch list.
There's a fantastic movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Tobey Maguire called Brother. I think it's just called Brothers. Where and Natalie Portman's in it too. It's a fantastic movie. You guys should catch it. But yeah, I don't see them coming together.
Similarly, I was
come
also
together.
I think like
trailer starts playing.
I think like within a day or on the same day, there was also like with like the Electro rumor report. There was also like rumor reports of intrigue of looking into more of use of the characters of like Kristen Dunst's MJ and Dane DeHaan's Harry Osborn.
Whoa, I forgot about that. Yeah, so that was from our boy. Was that from Daniel something on Twitter?
I think so.
That's fascinating. Yeah, like playing their characters, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine if it's in the Spider-Man context.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah,
it's like, oh no, not Jamie Foxx. He's not the same. But Dane DeHaan's here, and like, oh, here's Kristen.
That's my thing. I'm leaning on like Jamie Foxx kept saying like, I'm going to be yellow this time. I'm going to be more comic accurate. It's going to be different.
Which I wonder if they'll do like the Starface suit, or if they'll do
MCU is crazy enough to they just might do it, or they might have like a little. Jamie's like talking, and he's like, "Oh, I could have a Starface thing," and somebody's like, let's not do that.
I like the Spider-Man PS4 design where like the star print is like burned onto his face.
That's a good one. That's very grounded. But then when he like becomes electrocuted, like it brightens up. That could work. I'm just so leaning on all the Jamie Foxx comments, him being a completely different Electro. But if you bring, what's it called, Kirsten Dunst into this, I'm like, there's no way she's coming back. Like,
I just was laughing because I remember like back like before Homecoming came out, like an interviewer was asking her about the new Spider-Man films, and like she randomly like trashed and was like, it doesn't matter, we have the best movies. And then Tom like responded to it like, well, I mean, I like their movie. I hope they like ours. I just hope.
Yeah,
like, he was so nice.
Yeah, she didn't give a crap.
Can you imagine though if Andrew shows up or Toby shows up? Like that would be like. I'm not necessarily saying I want it, but like it would be pretty crazy. That'd be a top tier theater moment. Like, oh my god,
I don't care,
dude. Okay, they're literally with like how. Look, I will say, like, the most toxic fandom I've ever properly experienced has been the Spider-Man fandom. And I will say, because like there's while there's like people like me who generally love like all of Spider-Man, like there's other ones that will gatekeep their individual iterations.
Verse. Yeah.
I will say they will literally clamor at any new anything for their franchise to have any form of a continuation. So instantly, if something shows up in that regard, you'll get them in, you'll get general people like me, and you're gonna make so much bank off of like, and even the general audience who are like, wait, all the Spider-Man? Like,
it'll be a huge hit. Don't get me wrong. This is a huge hit. I'm just like, I'm not the kind of guy like point at my screen say, oh, that's a cool shot. And that's it. Like,
I mean, if they come up with a good backing for it, they have a good idea behind it, go for it. It's the same thing for me with like Flashpoint stuff. Like, if 3 different Batman show up, have a reason and have a relationship. They're talking about the relationship between Michael Keaton and Flash about their similar kind of storylines of that relating to that. If they have something like that can like ground the actual storyline for it to be real, somewhat feel like it was earned, then I'm here for it. But yeah, I don't want him just like dropping out of a cloud of blue and coming down through the multiverse and whatever.
And I'm envisioning like a portal sequence where you see like portals, Andrew Garfield, portal, Tobey Maguire. I heard you needed some help, and then crowd goes wild. I'm like, I could do without that.
I could also see it being like a Spider-Verse scenario where like they just kind of like glitched out of their own reality real quick.
That would be cool.
Into the other. And I can also see like the usage of like combined knowledge of the Spider-Man against Sinister Six, like Andrew's experience fighting Electro, or like if Carnage somehow joins Sinister Six, then Toby's like knowledge of fighting symbiotes before, stuff like that.
Find me a church, guys. We need a big bell.
Well, yeah, we just need fire, honestly.
Sure.
And sonic waves. Just a big bell. Bang. Oh, dude. It would be so out of that Sinister Six, I think that would like be so like Vulture. I think Mysterio is still good. Like you get him back.
Easily. Not Jake Gyllenhaal, but Mysterio, like the scientists involved.
I think it could still be Mysterio.
Oh.
I don't know.
I always figured the scientists are still alive. They could create an illusion and then boom, it's like magic or whatever. Magic / science.
Honestly, can you imagine like the whole time like an invisible probe was like projecting onto like another dude like walking around and they never knew?
Oh my god.
So that would be like Vulture, Mysterio, Scorpion, Electro, potentially, and maybe.
Are we including Morbius? What happens to Morbius in this scenario? I never thought he would be connected to these movies at all.
I want Doc Ock.
I need my Doc Ock
for sure. I think Morbius like he lives, but
yeah, I would assume so.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, well, that was another thing. Is like at the end of Morbius, it's like it basically ends where like Morbius is like standing by a billboard that has the it's a billboard of Peter Parker that's wanted. It's a wanted billboard.
Oh, okay.
But a whole billboard. So, I don't know.
Morbius takes place in New York, right?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff. Eventually in the plot, he ends up back in here.
Okay. Interesting. Why did this whole plot leak, by the way? Who leaked this?
No idea.
I don't know, but I wasn't even sure if how legit it could be, but like skimming over it, I was like reading it, I was like, this sounds hollow enough to be a Sony spider.
I can see some of this stuff. It's not really there's not a lot of spoilers in
honestly of like the vibe I was getting from it was like this feels pretty Mummy 2017, but
no.
It does seem like
with Spider-Man on this.
It does seem like
Matt Smith's in it. I forgot.
Oh yeah, I guess he's the main villain, right? Supposedly.
Is he?
Supposedly. Ooh.
I have to like look back.
The villains were the villains were the friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seemed like an ally where like the bit I was reading, I was like, I don't know. I think he was like tipping Morbius off to something, but
it's always the ally that double crosses him towards the final act. Yeah.
Probably.
What was I gonna say? So a lot of this Morbius stuff does seem like it takes place within the MCU, not really closely related to it, but it's like winking that like, hey, there are possibilities for the future. I'm just very curious to see how it all connects into Feige's whole vision for Spider-Man's future, with Spider-Verse and all. Like, Everybody always, ever since Venom was announced, they want Spider-Man to be in these Venom movies. They want Spider-Man to be in the Morbius movie. I think the best logical case is Spider-Man to appear in Venom 3. I don't see Venom appearing in Spider-Man 4, for example. But anything's possible right now. I think like a year from now, I can have a totally different opinion after we see Spider-Man, after we see Doctor Strange. Anything can happen.
I just got my brain like went like 180 and then it did a 720. Where I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I could actually properly see Carnage in the Sinister Six against Spider-Man without having Venom there. But
impossible, right? Yeah.
But then my brain was also like, but if you have other Spider people, I don't feel like Venom would be totally out of place.
True. I don't know. I begin to Spider-Man.
It's to assume it's not just like the core 3 Spider-Man actors and like you have like a couple more like Spider-Verse did. Like I guess like you would say in Spider-Verse the primary Spider people are Peter B. Parker, Miles, and Gwen, but you still had like Noir and Ham and everything.
Mm-hmm. Even in the whole Spider-Verse comic book, you could kind of say the main characters were Peter, Miles, and Gwen.
I love the line in the comic where like they're like talking, like 2 Spider-Men are talking, and they like look over and it's like, doesn't that look like the guy from Seabiscuit? And they're like, I swear I just saw a dude who was like from The Social Network. Like,
that's a good line. So good. What I like about Spider-Verse comic, real quick too, is like when you go back to the Spider-Gwen comic, she's still reeling from like the deaths that she had experienced from so many different Spider-Men dying. It's very fascinating. Also, getting into the Spider-Gwen stuff, not really Spider-Gwen related, but Sony is in development of a Spider-Woman project, right? Spider-Woman possibly, and then there's a Silk.
Yes, I think Silk is supposed to be a series. And honestly, that would be cool to see.
So what's going on with that? Like, I feel like if I was Sony, I would just create. I know they're not doing this by the looks of it all. I would just create a Spider-Verse or Spider Universe surrounded by a new, not Peter Parker, but just like either a Gwen Stacy or a Silk or a Spider-Woman, and then have her fight Venom, have her fight Carnage, have her fight Craven, all this stuff. You don't have to have like the whole connection to the MCU. But that's just me.
And then have Spidey, given whatever the contract goes, you can leave him on the fringes and then have him come in whenever you need, technically, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It is funny because like a lot of people even like still theorize that like Venom takes place in like Andrew's universe or stuff like that. Which
oh my gosh,
would be fun. It's funny because like I literally like I went through the entirety of like the build up for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, and you know how you'll see like preview teases before the trailer start of like films in development. I remember watching this feature has never actually properly released online. There's only like screenshots of it from people in theaters. Like they did one where like that silhouetted dude who basically was trying to build a Sinister Six anyway was like walking by all those doors, and like you know how you see like the vulture wings and ox tentacles and stuff. And one of those doors was a sphere of a symbiote, because I think they were going to go the route of like the symbiote made scientifically in a lab,
came from Oscorp,
which has happened in like the Ultimate stuff, but oh my god! And I was sitting there with my friend, like opening night of Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I was like, "Oh, dude, Venom's about to show!" And I was like waiting, and like it didn't show up real quick, and I was like, "What happened?" And then it was like the whole Rhino suit, and I was so angry. I was like, "Why?"
Tragic.
2014, what a time!
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Do you think Oscorp will be teased as the person owning that building, the mysterious Avengers Tower in New York, by Spider-Man 3? Is it that soon? Because it got teased in Ant-Man and the Wasp. It got teased in Far From Home. Like, what is it?
It's gotta be.
I mean, there was a lot of people who were also like debating if it was like the Baxter building, but I feel like they were saying it up too early.
That's the only other option. Baxter building, Oscorp, or Doctor Doom, whatever related. Like, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the Baxter building, because I think like I don't even think like the whole like obtaining of 20th Century Fox was a thing like back for like 2017 or like 2016, even when they were filming Homecoming. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's funny like in general, like how many times like the universes were supposed to cross over anyway. Like back when literally the first Spider-Man film, like Hugh Jackman was going to cameo in it, but they couldn't unlock the door to get the Wolverine suit, so they scrapped it. Or the fact that Andrew's Oscorp was supposed to be in the skyline of the Avengers, but like they couldn't render it in time, so they scrapped it.
I remember Avengers, there's a whole Nick Fury deleted scene where he's saying like, I've seen mutants, I've seen spiders crawl, Tony, and
literally for Iron Man 2008.
Yeah, for the End of Iron Man, but then they changed
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole clip out there. It's like, but then he just says like, we're putting together a crew or something, whatever.
And then cut to 2015 where Ant-Man teases like a quick like someone who crawls up walls, and I was like, what? That alone, I was like, but you know, I'm also like happy of like all these unfortunate mishaps because then we wouldn't have had Tom at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that I guess ends my spider spiel. But I'm just
a lot of possibilities out there. A lot of possibilities. Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if there was like more news you guys wanted to get into, or if you guys want to talk about movie reviews.
It's funny. Some couple of short things. There's a Dr. Seuss animated cinematic universe in the works.
Look,
I guarantee it's never going to happen.
Okay, but I've seen some 2D specials of crossovers with like the Grinch and the Cat in the Hat, which were so wacky, but like they worked for me.
I'm all fine like for Dr. Seuss stuff as long as it's not live action CG hybrid. I'm fine with the Dr. Seuss animated movies. It seems fun.
I didn't like. I think most recently did like Illumination did the Grinch, which I didn't hate.
I never saw that. Was it good?
It was pretty all right. It wasn't bad.
The problem with these movies, I don't know why I have such a take on this.
What did Dr. Seuss do to you, Carson?
He's about to cancel like the Lorax, like everyone else has.
They're short stories. They're short stories.
Very short.
They're like 20 pages, and they're like hour and a half. And so everything they put around stuff has been astronomically bad. And so it's like it's really not even Dr. Seuss movies because Dr. Seuss it's a source material, but it doesn't have like a movie format to, plot points. If you could even say that for a children's story, like they have to come up with stuff, and they have yet to get a good writer or somebody in there to like make it interesting. I don't know.
I will say in like both Grinch adaptations, like nowhere in the book does the Grinch visit Whoville before stealing Christmas, but in the iteration they haven't, which I don't hate. I enjoyed like all two Grinch adaptations. But yeah. Like I had fun. I mean, obviously, like I think like the worst degree of something like that being pat out is Cat in the Hat because it's so overtly weirdly random for no reason.
You know what? That movie had such an impact on my life though for no reason. It was implanted in my brain.
I grew up with it,
but we grew up with
that movie. Still baffles me to this day.
Toys. I literally had like a full car of like the thingamajigger. I had the Cat in the Hat gloves and hat. Like,
wow.
I didn't go to me as a kid, I didn't know like directors, but now I'm looking at it, I'm like, that was like Tim Burton on crack. I can't remember who
that was Tim Burton.
Basically.
Wow.
No, but it felt like that looking back on it. And I haven't rewatched it in years. I'd be so fascinated to go back.
Me too.
But
I used to watch that all the time.
Thinking about it, I feel like I didn't have any like real problems that much with Horton Hears a Who. I feel like that was all right. But then when they did like the Lorax, that's when they kind of just like went so overtly out there, and I was like, no.
Yeah, it's just interesting because, so is this a new deal with who's it with? Is it with Warner? Who is it? Illumination?
It's Warner Brothers. J.J. Abrams was producing one of the films. That's why I got big buzz.
I mean, it's obviously like pretty different standards, but like I know like there's obviously been like a Cat in the Hat cartoon, which is basically just like learning education. But I don't know if it's the same thing for this, but I know Netflix has like I think even like a couple seasons of like Green Eggs and Ham, and honestly, like a lot of people enjoy it, like for real. Which is interesting.
Never even heard of that.
Right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm for this happening.
The animated project, so 2024 is Cat in the Hat, 2026 is Thing 1 and Thing 2, and then 2027 is The Places You'll Go.
how are you gonna make it an hour and a half movie about Thing 1 and Thing 2? Like,
Yeah,
guys,
I'm not about these spin-offs of.
That's just 3 movies in the cinematic universe. Man.
Are
like
they
I'm
gonna,
all
like,
if
be
they
the
can come up
bridging-
with a solid idea, I don't know. I don't know
hope
why
Thing
I'm
1 and
like
2 are like. I hope Thing 1 and 2 are like the bridging ties of the whole universe. They just visit all these. And it's funny too because there literally are actual like 2D adaptations that are just like the book stuff, and that's it. They're like short specials, but like they're really good too, and they already exist.
Yeah. And that's how I think it should be. But like, I don't know if they run with it and they find something. Okay, if we're sitting here in 2025 and JJ drops a Star Trek 2009-esque trailer for Cat in the Hat, I'll go all in. I would be all in for Cat in the Hat.
Like they're teasing like not the building of the Enterprise, but it's just that giant red box that Thing 1 and 2.
Yes, that red box.
No.
That would get me. I'd be like, oh my god,
Oh my god.
Ominous trailer music starts playing. If they just make it full on like sci-fi drama, I would lose it.
A sci-fi drama of Cat in the Hat. Is this intended to be like I imagine this is intended to be animated, right?
Yeah, they're all it's an animated. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess to that point, like I don't know if either of you didn't see the Grinch, but the recent one. But I would probably, I guess, like if you want like an assessment of like where we're gonna go with these, probably check that out. I think it might still be on Netflix.
Yeah. They do reference that in the article. They're saying like, "Oh, Dr. Seuss has a lot of imaginative reimaginings."
It was funny going in because I remember when it was first announced and like Benedict Cumberbatch was set to play Grinch. I was like, "That sounds so perfect! Like that's a great voice." And then I see the trailer and like he has a more nasally voice, and I was like, "Oh, what? You've ruined it. You've thrown it away." But then I went to watch it and I was like, "It's pretty all right. I'm with it."
I just don't want this to become another Minions. I would just hate for it to just become a $1 billion franchise.
$1 billion franchise.
Off of absolutely nothing happening in the movies and just like
I don't see
cash grab efforts.
And I feel like Minions have finally run out, thank God. I feel like I'm sure when
there's another one coming next year.
Oh, I know, and I know when it comes, it's not gonna be as big as the others. No way.
You say that.
No.
But I'm pretty sure the last one made more money than the first. Like they're going up in box office.
Well, the last one was Minions. But I feel like people are just tired now. Like the same way where like Frozen made so much bank. And granted Frozen 2 did as well, but like at least it had like a break, and because literally all people had in between was just Frozen and kids on replay forever. Even though again I love Frozen and Frozen 2, and they both made $1 billion, but yeah. Where's that going?
Who knows? We had so much to say about Dr. Seuss.
I meant to just like drop that news, but you guys, Carson really loves Dr. Seuss.
Look, I love Dr. Seuss, man. It's funny though because like when I think of top Dr. Seuss books, I'm not thinking, oh, The Places You'll Go. I'm not even sure if I've read that one.
I don't think I read that one either. I'm like, what the heck is that?
There's a great one with like the star bellies or something because that's a whole. Sure. That's a whole allegory for racism, and it's interesting to explore. But yeah,
I think the other thing is like there was just some videos of Tom Cruise on a train. I thought that was pretty cool.
He is the closest off the edge, sitting there just chilling
for no
smiling.
Reason, just chilling. I'm like,
no reason.
Get off
that
thing.
My favorite in the video is Christopher McQuarrie, though, literally just standing, chilling, admiring the view. And I'm just like,
oh, he's walking around.
That place in life where I can just be standing on the top of the train, filming
a
Tom
moving
Cruise,
train,
admiring nature like it's nothing out of like it's my Tuesday morning coffee. Like that's amazing. I want that.
So freaking awesome. I know. Like, yeah, they're going to be in Norway now. I think there's a new set photo from McQuarrie just this morning where he's like in France or something. So, guys, I cannot wait. Batman has moved out of 2021. So now my officially most hyped movie of 2021 is Mission Impossible 7 coming out next November.
It's November, right?
Yeah. So freaking
wait, Eternal's coming out then too? I can't remember what else.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Man,
We'll see.
it's gonna be a competitive.
If anybody takes money from our precious Mission Impossible franchise, get out of here. Get out of this November.
Oh my God, that's right. Eternals moved back to their original November.
November date. Ironic.
Yeah, Mission Impossible was 2 weeks after Eternals. Ironic.
Okay, it's after. That's
ironic. Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive into some movie reviews.
What you guys see? You know what I saw?
I got two.
Oh, you got two? Yeah, let's start with
Okay, so on Sunday, I saw Possessor, which is the new it's actually the son of the famous horror director Cronenberg. His son did this. So cool tie there.
Is it Cronenberg-esque? Like creature feature? Grotesque?
Oh, well, I would say body horror out the wazoo.
Not for me. Not for me.
Oh my God, it's so good though. The premise is so cool. Let me give you the premise. So I thought this was gonna be way more like, I didn't know there was a sci-fi angle with this, but the premise is this mysterious company basically has this machine or this technology where they basically kidnap people, put a chip into their head, and then use one of their people who also gets like a chip in their head to transfer their essence into the other person so they can control their body. And then basically they get hired by other big corporations to like, okay, you're going to kill this person and make it look like this. So then this person's going to inadvertently become the CEO or, make this money this way. And so there's this whole thing. And the opening sequence is like this person like under the possessor thing. And it is a ride. Like I saw the uncut version. A lot of body horror. If you can't handle gore and blood, do not watch this movie. There's just to give you a taste. Someone gouges someone's eye out with a sharp fire stick. There's like, it's very intense, and but honestly, it's also the implications of it are really interesting. There's this point where one of the agents goes to this company that's like data mining people, where they'll literally just go through all their cameras and look at like all their products in their house and like start like tagging them to like sell to other companies. So it's like this huge take on like data mining and privacy and stuff. And obviously there's murder involved with all this crazy stuff. But I want to give a shout out quickly to the main actor in it, who's really, really good. He's also going to be in that. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for that Aubrey Plaza movie the other day. Which
like
is
a dark comedy.
Yes, he's also going to be in that. But his name is Christopher Abbott. Christopher Abbott. He's been in First Man. He's been in. Who is he in First Man? I can't remember. He's been in It Comes at Night. He's been in Vox Lux with Natalie Portman.
I've seen It Comes at Night in First Man. I have no idea who you're talking about.
But he gives. He kind of looks like Kit Harington a little bit. That's who he reminds me of.
A little bit.
But he's the guy that like the one big mission that they show. He's the guy that like gets possessed by their agent or whatever. So really, an acting challenge. He's acting as the girl in the guy's body, basically, because the girl's the agent that has to carry out the murder. And then, and you get to the point where the consciousness.
Christopher Abbott.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in Girls.
Fantastic.
I saw him in Girls. He's in Girls.
One of my favorite performances of the year. So good. So there's a point where like the consciousness of each of these people are like fighting each other in their brain, and like she's like losing control, and they have to like resync, otherwise that like they go out of. So it's an insane movie. It's very sci-fi horror, body horror specifically. It won't be for everybody. I kind of said that in my review. But yeah, it's playing in theaters now. I think it's going to be on VOD pretty soon here in November, I think, after it gets out of theaters. But if you can check out, it's definitely, it's just a ride. Like I don't want to say anything more
So,
other than the stuff
I
I said
didn't know
because
that. Like, I went in thinking like it's gonna be this weird horror. In
that's what
my
I
head,
thought too.
I'm thinking, what's that one movie you liked where they're in space with Robert Pattinson?
Oh,
High
High
Life?
Life. Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be more.
I thought it was gonna be
It's much
something
more
in that
fast paced
vein.
than that. It's much more
Okay.
fast paced and more thriller to it. It does have some
Whoa.
slow parts and interesting like plot conversations where people are kind of like manipulating each
Well,
other, but also it
okay.
has um the cinematography is really great too. It's shot in Toronto, I believe. Super cool locations and set design. I had a great time. And then the second one, I'll just go quickly so everyone get to theirs. I saw Steve McQueen's Red, White, and Blue with John Boyega, which was also fantastic. This one's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Is it a feature film?
Yeah, it's a feature, but it's part of the thing. It's called the Small Axe anthology series, where it's 5 Steve McQueen projects, different Black stories. This one centers around a true story of Leroy Logan, who is a British police officer in the 1980s, and basically it shows how his dad and just being Black. How they were manipulated by the police and just all that stuff. And so Leroy grows up, wants to become a police officer, and his father basically despises him for it. And all the other people in his community, every time they see him walk down the street in his police uniform, they're like, traitor, how could you do this? And even as he's in the police academy or whatever, like, people are being super racist towards him. And it's this really subtle performance where, he has to either hold in his anger as people are being overtly racist to him in order for him to keep his job, in order for him to move forward, but also you just see it bubble over because he can't take it anymore. And then all of it's anchored by this super cool relationship with his father of basically them trying to forgive themselves, because at the same time his dad's dealing with the court case against the police officer and wants to sue the police officer and get justice that way. It's just like very interesting, very Steve McQueen political commentary. John Boyega is really, really good. I really enjoyed it in this. I just wish this movie was longer. It feels like it drops off at the end of a second act. I needed 30 more minutes. But overall, I'm super excited to see the rest of this Small Axe project. It's going to be on Amazon Prime next month, I believe, either October or in November, which is super cool because it's been all these other ones that you've heard about, like I can't remember what they're called, but there's 5 of them, and it's going to be on Amazon Prime, so everyone's going to finally get to see them. And after have we talked about Widows on this podcast before? I love Steve McQueen's Widows.
It's okay.
A couple years ago. Oh my god, so good. I love Shame. It's a 2011 movie with Michael Fassbender. Pretty great movie. He's one of my favorite guys working. Shame. But
Michael Fassbender.
So highly recommend.
Yeah, I didn't like Widows that much, but I've always been looking forward to watching Shame because I love Michael Fassbender. Yeah, good stuff. I've been meaning to watch that Small Axe movie. I had the opportunity to get tickets for that, but I was like, I didn't know if there was gonna be like a specific time you had to watch that movie, and I was busy that day. So
yeah, they have limited viewing windows. It's kind of the caveat for all these festivals I've been sending everybody. Is like it's usually like 24-hour viewing windows, or
I saw that. I'm
kind of hard.
Yeah. I only saw, what did I see? I saw one movie. I guess I saw 2. Yeah. So last week I saw Cinderella Man for the first time. Have any of you guys seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
Russell Crowe and who's his wife in that movie? I forget the wife right now. Russell Crowe is in it, and he is just fantastic. I've been meaning to watch this movie, but my teacher showed me the movie because we're talking about, like, it's a very historical movie, of course. It's about this boxer in the 1920s. In the 1920s to 1930s, because it also discusses the Great Depression, too, and, like, him trying to be a boxer during the Great Depression. So it has a lot of good history in it, too. But Russell Crowe is fantastic in the movie. Absolutely loved it. This is what's it called? It's a Ron Howard directed movie, and I
No,
remember
it's Ron Howard.
like, yeah, I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I've always heard so many good things about Cinderella Man, but I've never knew that it was directed by Ron Howard. I'm like, this is probably Ron Howard's best work. It's a fan freaking tastic movie. It's
Is it mid 2000s movie?
Yes, mid 2000s. I think 2004.
2005.
2005. Okay. And I just had a blast. Like, it has that boxing cliche where he starts off high, he hits a low. The low is because of the Great Depression. He can't afford it anymore, and he's getting older. He's getting like his hand like gets injured, and he can't like support his family. His family goes under. I like the emotional baggage of this movie because he's trying to care for his family, but they can't even pay for the heat. They can't pay for the electricity. Wow. They can't pay for a lot of things because of the Great Depression, and he's trying to find a job, and that's not going through. So
this cast is stacked.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Renee Zellweger was his wife. Yes.
Yes.
She was fantastic. Paul Giamatti is so freaking.
I love him.
Good. He's so good. I love me some Paul Giamatti. His Oscar award-winning performance in Amazing Spider-Man 2, notwithstanding. But he is one of my favorite actors working in general. I wish he was in more stuff recently. But yeah, I think he won an Oscar for this because he is just so good as like the manager / coach for Russell Crowe in this movie. And the accents are really good. It takes place in New York. He has a really good like 1920s New York accent. It's just so good. I had a blast watching this movie. Russell Crowe is one of the greatest. Paul Giamatti is one of the greatest. And Ron Howard can make some great movies. Like, I love Solo, but this was a great movie for Ron Howard. I couldn't be happier. And then yesterday, I finally finished Karate Kid 2 because I'm trying to watch Cobra Kai, and I'm like, I need to watch. Do I need to watch the sequels to watch Cobra Kai? People said I didn't have to.
My parents said yes. My parents have been on this Cobra Kai thing, like, oh my god, it's the best show, but you're not gonna get it because you didn't watch the original movies.
I think especially
understand.
Especially from the third one, yeah.
Yeah, so they said like you gotta watch the third one or the second one. I'm like, so then I gotta watch the second one. So I watched the second one, and I'm halfway through the third one right now. Third one's pretty iffy right now, but 2 was pretty good. I had a good time with 2. Somebody said it's like the Last Jedi of Karate Kid because it takes.
I love the opening with right after the tournament, and Miyagi, like he goes to like hit the kid, but he just like stops. He just like honks his nose.
Honk, yeah.
Like, it's been a while since I watched that movie.
The coach is being such a big, he's being a mean guy to Johnny, the rival to LaRusso. And he says like, you lost, like you suck. And he's like, I'm sorry, coach. Like, come on, man, I'm sorry. And he breaks his trophy, and then like Nathan said, Mr. Miyagi gets involved, nearly kills the guy, but then just makes fun of him. And then they go to Japan, to Okinawa, to Mr. Miyagi's hometown, and then of course, what's it called? LaRusso finds a new love interest because I think Allie left him at the beginning of the 2. Really weird.
When that happens.
Yeah, and then beginning of 3, the girlfriend that he had in 2 was also gone. So I'm like, he's just dropping girlfriends left and right.
Why? I hate it. Why can't we just
They're dropping like Bond girls.
It really is.
Why is everything a Bond girl scenario? Just like
it's so bad. Like, can we have some?
That's what I respect with Mission Impossible, man. It's like.
Yeah, they stick to it, and then they meet. I love when they meet in Fallout. It's so good.
so good. But yeah, I had a blast with Karate Kid 2. I'm gonna be finishing up Karate Kid 3. But yeah, just so I can finally watch Cobra Kai because everybody's talking about it, and I'm like, I gotta watch the movies before I watch Cobra Kai.
Season 3 is supposed to come out spring 2021, I believe.
Yeah, early next year.
And then it's already greenlit for season 4, so they're gonna start filming that next year. So it's really big right now. I need to get into it.
Yep. Nathan, what do you got? I heard you're best friend with this extraterrestrial.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, the 80s charm of this movie, man. Okay.
Score.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I hold in regard as like out of franchise standalone my favorite film of all time. It's funny because like I just recently like joined the actual world of Spotify. I went to the soundtrack for it, and it's great because they had the like 1 minute opening like credits intro with title that only goes for like a minute, but it has, and it's a lot louder in my headphones than in the movie. I went for my walk and I played it, and it was nighttime, and it is the most eerie music, and it was like I'm scared. I was like, oh my god. This whole soundtrack is gorgeous, and I could gush about that alone because it feels like a lot more different than other Spielberg stuff, because a lot of other Spielberg stuff I feel like lays heavily into like like the horns and everything, and just like very bombastic throughout, where I feel like E.T. has a lot more eerie vibe to it, especially at the start. It almost feels like a horror soundtrack at times, and that definitely makes sense because you're really like exploring this unknown. The whole film beautiful because it's all shot from the eye level of a child, and that was like always the intent, like literally other than seeing like the mom's face, because of course every other adult you don't actually like even see their faces really, even like the who's supposed to be the antagonist, Keys, they call him that because all you see is like his keys jingling on his belt loop. You don't see his face until an hour and 20 minutes in of this hour and 50-minute movie, which is so remarkable. Good. And it's great because honestly, he's not really even a villain either, because he actually like legit cares about like alien exploration and stuff, and like
of course.
And it's so great because like even like when they have like that's Jesus. Don't do that. I'm gonna take him off screen.
Freaking out our viewers.
Because even like when they have like the not really interrogation scene, but like when they're just kind of like breaking down the whole scenario with the children, he just kind of like sympathizes with Elliot, and he's like trying to just like understand, and like he's genuinely like sympathetic of like because this is a living creature, and it's so nice because I obviously like it is a government stuff, and it's very likely they're gonna like take him for testings and stuff, but like primarily watching the whole thing, and I also commend that Spielberg actually hired real doctors in that scene. To play it. Yeah, and it very much sounds like it too. Like they're like trying to like resurrect E.T. and stuff, and like it feels so genuine. Like they're trying for hours, and I get it's also alien life, but also like the whole time Elliot is like screaming like, "No, leave him alone! You're hurting him!" And it's like it hits so hard, and even like to the beginning of the movie, it's so great. Like just like when they first get together, and just like the whole dynamic of the family feels like a real family. It felt weird at times because like I noted like every child of the mother at one point calls her by her actual name and not mom, and I'm like, was that a common 80s thing?
No, here's the deal. You need to watch the HBO Spielberg documentary, because it goes deep dive into all of his movies, and it interviews people, and it talks about how this movie was kind of because his parents were divorced. There's a lot of that in there. In terms of how he was like kind of, trying to create an emotional core of this movie. So you haven't seen the Spielberg HBO documentary. I believe it's like 2 parts. It might be like 3 hours long or something like that, or 2.5 hours.
I will say
it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I will say, like, I've watched every behind the scenes of E.T. ever.
Wow.
Like even like the making ofs that aren't actually like on the up to date Blu-rays and stuff. Like I know the differentiations of the special edition to the original, like stuff like that. Just like everything, like even down to like the special presentation of the 20th anniversary premiere that they had for the re-release, which is for the whole special edition. And it's great too, because like owning that, you have an option to turn on, like from the premiere, the live theatrical score that Williams himself conducted throughout the entire runtime during that premiere. You can put that to the film, which is great. I didn't do that for this one, but it is a great thing that I have. The whole film is beautiful. Yeah, you definitely get a sense of like the whole divorce stuff, because like Elliot's dad is no longer around, and that's a big factor, especially like with the mom character. Like she's like, bless her heart, having to go through all this. Like,
yeah,
just there's so much going on, and even like the whole thing. I was like the most important thing I was kind of like studying was like E.T. in general, and like how he was like framed and like lit like through his introduction, because they mostly keep him in shadows and hiding and stuff, because it's the whole unknown mystery. You don't understand what this creature is, but then like the next day when like he's like brought in the house, I feel like the film, it feels like the film like goes like throughout the course of a week. I'm sure there's some time jumps, but you can like count day by day the way.
Yeah, it seems very short paced in that sense.
Yeah, and it's great, like just the whole exploration of like the different things, exploring how like Elliot is just like so fascinated by this creature. You know, kind of like how you find like a stray like animal, like a stray dog or something. You want to like keep it like as your own, but it's higher intelligence, so it's like, oh, it's a friend, like
yeah,
and just it's so cute, the different moments of like showing him different things, and like watching the whole development of E.T. too, and just like life, how he's like, there's so many like quiet moments because most of the movie he doesn't speak. So there'll just be scenes where he's like taking, or like Elliot's just like very messily explaining like things on Earth and stuff through his toys, and he's just kind of like looking around like, okay. But then there's also a moment where like they're like the siblings are kind of like arguing at a point, but like not completely, and he's just kind of like taking it in, and he's just observing stuff like that. And just also the buildup of like all of his things are like really subtle, where like he's like, he has to build this radar to communicate to his family. Out of nowhere he can lift stuff like the Force. You don't like fully pick that up, like it just comes out of nowhere. It's like, okay, cool. And like even there's even like the whole like infamous like light up finger that heals. It's randomly brought up where like they're just kind of like listening to like a bedtime story being told, and they're just listening, and Elliot like cuts his finger, and just out of nowhere, bam, light healed. And it's a very oddly whimsical moment, because it's like, again, it's the quiet scene of like the storytelling, and it's very nice. The whole Halloween sequence, because they're building the plan to go to the forest to set up.
Fantastic.
It's so good. That's on Halloween night. This is one of my favorite Halloween movies. Like, yeah, I think it's literally like the infamous like main theme score pops up on the track. It's called The Magic of Halloween. And it's so good. Just like the flyby. It happens rapidly fast too, honestly. I feel like the shift from day to night was rapid, but it's fun. It's such iconic imagery the way it goes. And I would always like study. I'm like, are they... I would always think like, are they pedaling on a green screen? Like, how are they doing this? Like, it's so fascinating that they do it. And just the whole set. And yeah, when he starts talking too, it's like a really interesting thing, because he has limited vocabulary, but you still get like the gist. And when he like starts to die, it's very emotionally impactful. Because like it's not just immediately like that he's dying. It's like they went out of the forest, and then he was gone out of nowhere, and Elliot goes home. And then the brother Michael goes to find, and he's like super pale and being like smelled by a raccoon in a river. And
you're like, oh my god,
horrific! And there's like a helicopter going by, and like Michael's freaking out.
Is
like,
this the end?
Right? And then like when later he's in the house, and like they go to like bring the mom in to see what's going on. He's like super gray and like no life in him, and it's terrifying. And then out of nowhere, it's even more terrifying, because like there's also been like points where like the government was like listening in, and then they like go to bug the house and stuff, and then out of nowhere, like I guess for hazmat suit purposes, just like full on astronauts walk in.
So freaky. It always scared me as a kid. Yeah,
it's so scary, because like they're all trying to run out, and like immediately through the front door there's like no face, and
I'm like, oh my gosh.
They run over to another place, back door, same thing, and then one's trying to like climb in the window, and it's like, what's happening?
Like, why are there Neil Armstrongs everywhere?
Right, and then the eerie music takes over, and they're like, there's like welding going on, the whole house is quarantined like to the teeth, and it's nuts, and it's just a whole hospital set up. And then you know, you go through the whole thing with like the death, but then the resurrection again, and it's a very beautiful moment with Elliot and E.T. when he's just like has to say goodbye, but then like the heart lights up, the flowers grow again, and then the plan starts going, okay, we gotta go to the forest, because they're coming, man. We gotta get, and it's literally is the last 15 minutes of the movie, which you can also find. I love that you can find on YouTube. There's like this clip from, I think, one of the Hollywood Bowls John Williams did. He conducted the whole last 15 minutes with the clips live.
Love it.
And it's so cool to see. And then they just do the whole thing, because they have to literally steal a van, get with the other friend group to like bring their bike so that they can keep going. At the same time, they're driving the stolen van with two other agents that are still like stuck in the tube that's still attached. They have to take that apart, go to the playground, get on their bikes, go, and then dodge all of these cop cars before getting blocked off with these shotguns.
It's so
like,
80s. I love it.
It's so good. And then out of nowhere, you just like hope what's gonna happen. They just like keep pedaling through, and then bam, the flight. And then another iconic image of flying across the sunset, which looked beautiful.
Yeah,
and
nobody ever uses the sun one. They always use the moon.
Right? But they're both so good. And just the whole ending is just so beautiful. Just like the whole saying goodbye, the whole like whimsicalness of the spaceship coming down, Keys, who's like he doesn't care. He's just like, this is incredible to experience.
Yeah, so fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it's the beauty of this friendship too. It's so nice. And just saying goodbye it's sad. And I'm happy that like it all played out the way it did. I'm happy I have my Xfinity commercial sequel. I love all
Speaking
of
of
like
subsidiary material, for whatever reason, about like at the start of quarantine, I got into this phase where like I would watch like movie reviews of just like random crappy movies, and I guess ET spawned like a whole series of just totally off-brand B movie like like Alien and Best Friend movies, where it was just like because everyone's like, oh, we're gonna make this movie now. And there's this one, I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna have to get it to you guys, but it is terrifying. The alien comes down, and the kid has to go inside the alien and like be a part of him as the host. And it is so terrifying. It makes me so grateful that John Williams and Spielberg created this beautiful story, and that for all this weird stuff that it spawned, for people just not being able to replicate it again, is just a testament to how great and how timeless this movie is, because there's a lot of garbage out there regarding this premise.
I will say I do miss the era of nice aliens.
I do too.
Remember?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Arrival.
It's so crazy just to think of just like this whole like film itself, because like diving into like the thought process of like, will they ever make a sequel? And like you dive into that, and there's even like, because it was fascinating, because in the sequel there was originally a whole thing of like ET's race like is like factioned in a war. They're not, and that's already like a big step up. I don't think they would like properly show it, but there was gonna be like a whole sequence where like there was gonna be like a ship return. It's like, oh, is ET back? But then like the kids get abducted by the evil aliens, stuff like that. I think it was called Nocturnal Fears. Was the sequel? It was gonna be called.
Wow, thank God we didn't get that.
Obviously, ET was supposed to like come back. His real name was supposed to be revealed, which was I think Zarek. I think ET has a better ring to it. But yeah,
so wild.
But other than that, they were just like, you know what? I think this fits better. It's just on its own. And Spielberg like cements that to this day, and I respect that.
I mean, there was some good Hollywood stuff later on in the decades, like Lilo and Stitch is very much a ET thing. I don't know, Carson, have you seen the Ghibli film Ponyo?
Not yet. I literally had it in my house. I had it, and I had to return it.
That's very
it's
much
on my
ET thing as well, because like an alien fish thing comes in and then befriends like the child.
I'm excited to see Miyazaki's take on that.
So it's a Miyazaki take on ET, and I absolutely loved it. And of course, Stranger Things, very, very, very closely related to ET.
Oh, by the way,
11 ET, like they're both really like, she's not an alien, but she is a supernatural being. Then at the end of the first season, she leaves too. So.
Yeah, and to that point, there's so many Star Wars Easter eggs, which is great.
Oh yeah, which is really awesome.
Which I think it was a year before Jedi even came out, but
yeah, it was 1982.
Yeah, but it's so cool because you just like look around Elliot's room, and he's like, he has X-wings and TIE fighters hanging from his ceiling. He's got all these toys. He's literally trying to introduce all of his. And it's funny the way he's introducing all the characters, because like us Star Wars nerds, we're like, we'll know like the different species and stuff, but he's like, this is Hammerheads, Walrus Man, Snaggletooth. Lando. It's so funny. And even like that whole like moment of seeing like a trick-or-treater dressed as Yoda, which you will never find a better Yoda costume today. That was legit back then. That was great. And it's great because ET or John Williams even put the like Yoda motif in there for a quick second.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's so great. He's like, home. It was like, ET's a Force user, haha.
But
it's
it's very funny too, looking at Spielberg in terms of his filmography at that time, because I think 1 year before ET, 1981, what's it called? Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah.
So he's coming off probably still one of the best action adventure movies of all time with Harrison Ford.
And he came up with the idea of ET on set of Indy.
Exactly. And ET is not ET. Indiana Jones, especially Raiders, kind of a darker movie. Like there's a lot of blood, especially in that first act.
Face
and then
melting.
the face melting in the third
That's
act.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, so he does ET, which is probably still Spielberg's most lighthearted film. Next to like even Jurassic Park, kind of like a action horror movie.
Oh yeah, and even like thinking back to like I think it was 1977, he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which that really plays up to like, even though the aliens are friendly, like it really plays up to like that spooky unknown horror, like
spooky horror, that tension,
like it's
and then
scary.
3 years after ET, he
like
does his darkest movie, Temple of Doom, and I'm like, how do you go from ET to Temple of Doom? Like Spielberg in the 80s, he's just unstoppable. Loved it.
And it's amazing like how much E.T. took off too. I still find it hilarious, the brand deal of Reese's Pieces. They originally wanted to get Mars chocolate with M&Ms, but they said no. So Reese's got it. And then now look at that.
Look what happened.
There was like so much, like I was watching the Reese's Pieces stuff and I was like, I don't really eat much candy anymore, but I do want some. And I love that I got to like see it for, I think, in 2017 for, I think it was the 35th anniversary re-release, which was phenomenal. It made me so happy to see it on the big screen.
I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Highly recommend. It goes by fairly fast. And I also have to commend the puppetry is phenomenal. It was like a combined thing of like, you know, when it's like under like the hand movement, it's literally like gloves and like a, you know, person who can like marionette that, but they're also like doing the whole mechanics of the suit and stuff. Sometimes it's literally like a person that's like a dwarf, or even I think it was actually somebody that doesn't have legs hobbling around because they have a way they can do it, and they put this like whole like suit thing like when he's walking around the kitchen getting drunk and stuff, stuff like that. And
I remember seeing the ET behind the scenes for the first time, and like, you know, the kid in me is just like, oh my god, movies aren't real, you know, like you're like in denial with yourself of like, it's like when you get to like age like, you know, 10 or 11, you're like, I know stuff about the world, I have the power to Google stuff in YouTube, and then you look up like ET like flying or whatever, and then you go down the rabbit hole of all this stuff. And I remember just like watching those behind the scenes featurettes and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like, and then I think I pulled like my old ET toy out of the closet. I'm like, wait, is there something in here? Like, it's just one of those things.
It's so good, and God, I can't imagine doing this today. But like the woman that voices ET, I think she had to smoke like so many packs a day to maintain the voice. I feel like 2 actually sounds a lot more common, so I feel like the outlandish number I heard was 10. Which, like, Jesus, but yeah, you know, great product. Good job. But, hope you can buy a new lung with your royalties. But yeah, no, it's just the whole film is amazing. If you haven't seen Henry Thomas's audition tape for Elliot, is something to behold. Like we've all like praised like Daisy Ridley's like Cry on Command, but like this 9-10-year-old child impressed Spielberg so much he hired him right then and there. It's so great.
Yeah,
but I can go on for
what a movie. Yeah,
cinema.
Seriously. Yeah, what an 80s time capsule where you're just like, you hear like the calming like phrases and stuff, like the whole like group of friends are like playing D&D or something, different things like that. You can trust a 10-year-old child to walk at the end of the driveway to a pizza stranger to get the pizza. Like,
oh man,
different times, man.
Different world, yeah.
Even like the dog as well. I was just like, I was watching. I was like, I know this dog unfortunately is like long gone by now, but what an adorable looking dog. I was like, it's great. I love this house. It has such character. Like just like everything. And I feel like that's a big thing too. It's just playing up like the environments that like a kid would know, like whether it's like biking around the neighborhood or like a common like field spot in a forest or just your home or school. It's fascinating. I love the way that it keeps you in like the child mindset throughout the whole thing. It's great.
Perfection.
Yes. So with that said, we're gonna go now. Yeah. We had a great time. This is probably one of my favorite episodes I've done, being able to talk both Spider-Man and ET. Oh, so
Complete. You're complete.
Very much complete. With that being said, Carson, where can they find you?
You guys can find me over on Twitter at the Film Carson. I am very excited for next week because we're going to be talking Harry Potter. Honestly, I was going to ask you guys, we might have to split this up into 2 episodes, especially because we have a guest panelist. And I feel like we're going to need give Evan some extra time to catch up with a rewatch because I know he's not going to be done because you've been checking the live feeds to Big Brother.
You can watch 1 movie a day, my guy.
Dude,
still make it.
Carson calling me out here, motherfucker. I had a schedule. I'm like, if I start Thursday, I could do 1 Thursday, 1 Friday.
Yeah.
2 on Saturday. I don't have school on Monday. I could do 2 on Monday. Like,
yeah,
I could do this, but I wouldn't mind splitting it up either because there's 8 movies. And
especially because you get like a Prisoner of Azkaban, I'm going to spend like an hour on it. Like,
yeah, we could do an hour
on that movie.
Yeah, we can, as long as our guest is able to come back the week afterward. I would love to split it up as well. So yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited.
Definitely pitch it to her. But yeah, with that being said, Evan, where could they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Right now is October 7th as of this recording. We are 2 months away from Attack on Titan season 4. So everybody get ready. And we're 2 days away from Haikyuu season 4, episode 2. That's the volleyball anime that Carson was talking to me about.
I gotta watch it. I'm so
it's fantastic. So yeah, October is doing pretty good for me right now. And then yeah, find me on Twitter. Just still being depressed about Dune being a year away now. A little less than a year, but still.
Very sad.
And as always, you can find me here on the channel, and all of our social media is linked in the description below. But with that being said, I don't really have much to add, so just wrap it up here. So if you did enjoy our podcast, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. That being said, hope you have a great day, and may the force be with you always.